You've seen the photos on Instagram. A pilot sitting in a glass cockpit, a Rolex on the wrist, looking out over a sunset at 38,000 feet. It looks like the ultimate dream life, right? High salary, global travel, and a prestigious uniform. But there is a massive secret that most pilots don't talk about until they've already made it to the other side. The gap between your first flight lesson and that senior captain seat isn't just a few years of hard work. It is a financial and emotional gauntlet that breaks most people before they ever earn their first six-figure paycheck. In fact, for the first few years of your career, you'll likely be making less than a fast food manager while carrying a debt load that would make a neurosurgeon sweat. Today, I am pulling back the curtain on the entire progression. We are going to look at the real numbers, from the $100,000 hole you start in to the $500,000 a year peak that very few people actually reach. If you've ever wondered if the struggle is actually worth the reward, or how exactly someone goes from a broke student to a wealthy captain, you need to hear this. Because by the end of this video, I'm going to reveal a specific figure, the top-tier potential for a senior wide-body captain that sounds like a typo, but I promise you, it is very real. Let's start at the absolute bottom, where the dream begins and the bank account dies. Every pilot starts at the same place, 0 hours. At this stage, you aren't an employee, you are a customer. You are paying for the privilege of sitting in a cramped, noisy Cessna 172 that was probably built in the 1970s. Depending on where you train, you are looking at a cost of $80,000 to over $100,000 just to get your ratings. During this time, your income is literally negative. You are hemorrhaging money while studying manuals the size of phone books. The mental strain here is immense because you're gambling. You are betting $100,000 that you have to hand-eye coordination and the discipline to make it. There's no guarantee of a job at the end of this. You're just a student with a headset and a dream, watching your savings evaporate. Once you finally get that commercial pilot certificate, you might think the money starts rolling in. You'd be wrong. Welcome to the grind. This is the period where most pilots become flight instructors, or CFIs. You've spent $100,000 to earn the right to make about $30,000 to $40,000 a year. You are essentially a high-stakes teacher, sitting in a tiny cockpit with a student who is actively trying to kill you, unintentionally of course, for 10 hours a day. You're working weekends, holidays, and early mornings, all to build that magical number of 1,500 hours. This is the industry's price of entry. You aren't doing this for the money, you're doing it for the time. Every hour in that logbook is a step closer to the airlines, but this phase can last 2 years or more. It is the ultimate test of patience. If you can survive on ramen and coffee while teaching stalls and steep turns for $25 an hour, you might just have what it takes. But here is where the path starts to fork. Once you hit those 1,500 hours, you finally get your first real airline job at a regional carrier. This used to be a period of poverty. 10 years ago, a regional first officer might have started at $20,000 a year. Thankfully, times have changed. Because of the pilot shortage, starting pay at the regionals has skyrocketed. Today, you might start at $90,000 a year, including signing bonuses. For a 23-year-old who's been broke for 3 years, this feels like winning the lottery. You're finally flying a jet. You have a uniform with 3 stripes. You're staying in hotels on the company's dime. But don't get too comfortable. The lifestyle at a regional airline is grueling. You're flying 6 legs a day, dealing with short runways, bad weather, and tight turnarounds. You're at the bottom of the seniority list, which means you're working every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You're on reserve, which means you're sitting in a crash pad or a cheap hotel near the airport, waiting for your phone to ring so you can rush to the terminal in 20 minutes. The pay is better, but you are paying for it with your time and your sanity. You are still a small fish in a very big pond. The real goal, the place where life truly changes, is the major airlines. Think Delta, United, American, or Southwest. Getting the call from a major is the moment every pilot dreams of. It's like getting drafted into the NFL. The day you walk into training at a major airline, your career trajectory changes forever. As a new first officer at a major, your first-year pay will likely jump to somewhere between $150,000 and $180,000. This is where the debt starts to disappear. This is where you can actually afford a house and a nice car. But more importantly, the quality of life improves. You're flying newer aircraft, the scheduling is more predictable, and the benefits are world-class. However, even at this level, there is a hierarchy. You are still a co-pilot. You are still sitting in the right seat taking orders from the captain. And if you want that 4th stripe, you have to wait. In this industry, seniority is everything.
It determines what you fly, where you fly, when you fly, and how much you get paid. You can't just work harder to get promoted. You have to wait for the people above you to retire or for the airline to grow. This brings us to the biggest jump in the entire progression, the captain upgrade. Moving from the right seat to the left seat is more than just a pay raise. It's a massive increase in responsibility. As a captain, you are the final authority on the safety of the flight. If something goes wrong, it's on you. Because of that, the pay reflects the weight on your shoulders. A mid-career captain at a major airline is easily clearing $250,000 to $350,000 a year. At this stage, you've likely been in the industry for 15 to 20 years. You've survived the flight school debt, the CFI grind, and the regional airline hustle. You are finally at the top of the food chain. But we haven't even reached the final boss yet. There is a level beyond standard captain. There is the senior wide-body captain. These are the pilots who fly the heavy metal, the Boeing 777s, 787s, and Airbus A350s. These are the guys and girls flying 10 to 14-hour missions across the Atlantic and Pacific. This is the peak of the profession. When you reach this level of seniority, you aren't just a pilot. You are a high-level manager of a $200 million machine and hundreds of lives. Let's talk about the secret numbers I mentioned at the start. A senior captain at a top-tier major airline flying maximum hours on a wide-body aircraft can earn a base salary of $400,000. But that is just the beginning. When you add in international overrides, per diem, profit sharing, and the airline's retirement contribution, which is often as high as 16% of your gross pay without you having to contribute a dime, the total compensation package can blow past $500,000 or even $600,000 a year. There are some senior captains who, by strategically picking up extra flights or working on their days off at premium pay rates, have pushed their total annual compensation towards $700,000. Think about that for a second. That's more than most surgeons, lawyers, and corporate executives make, and they do it while working maybe 12 to 15 days a month. At this level, you have control over your life. You pick the best routes, you fly to London, Tokyo, or Sydney, stay in 5-star hotels, have 48 hours to explore the city, and then fly back. You have weeks off at a time. This is the dream that was sold to you at the very beginning. But now that you've seen the whole map, you realize how few people actually make it to that final destination. It takes a specific kind of person to endure the first decade of this career. You have to be okay with missing birthdays, anniversaries, and holidays for years on end. You have to be okay with the constant pressure of check rides, where your entire career is on the line every 6 to 12 months. If you fail a medical exam or a simulator check, it can all be taken away in an instant. The money is incredible at the top, but it is a reward for a lifetime of extreme discipline and high-stakes performance. So, is it worth it? If you are doing it only for the money, the answer is probably no. There are easier ways to get rich that don't involve waking up at 3 a.m. in a cold hotel room to fly a jet through a thunderstorm. But if you truly love the sky, if you find peace at 30,000 feet, and if you can handle the delayed gratification of a 20-year career climb, then there is no other job like it in the world. The progression from student to senior captain is a journey from being a broke dreamer to a highly compensated professional, and it is one of the most rewarding paths anyone can take. If you found this breakdown helpful and want to see more about the realities of the aviation industry, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We've got plenty more deep dives coming your way. If you're a student pilot right now or thinking about starting, drop a comment below and let me know which stage of the journey you're currently in. I'll see you in the next one, and until then, keep climbing.